Granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello, today is the Unite the Kingdom March, which I unfortunately cannot attend. And this was how Keir Starmer welcomed the groups of people who were on the march yesterday, priming the pumps for today.
Tomorrow's march in London is a reminder of what we're up against in the battle of our values. The organisers, including convicted thugs and racists, are peddling hatred and division, plain and simple. Their goal is to convince people that Britain's problems are caused by those living alongside them. But that is not the Britain that I know. This is a country built on decency, fairness and respect. A country that is at its best when people from different backgrounds come together in common purpose. This is our country, with a majority who share those values, a majority who may not always be as loud, but must always define who we are. So, my government will not stand in the way of peaceful protest, but we will act decisively against hatred. We will use the full force of the law when that hatred manifests as violence. And we will ban those coming into the UK who seek to stir it up, as we have done already, because this country belongs to all of us, and I will not tolerate anyone who seeks to stand in the way of that.
All right.
Tomorrow's march in London.
Let's just have a look at this. The cinematic effects here are interesting, as well as what Keir Starmer was saying. You see the clouds here. That somehow gives images of purity, doesn't it? Cleanness, freedom. Yeah? All right.
Is a reminder of what we're...
And that, I don't know exactly why these speeded up visions of various parts of London, why they thought that was effective. But I think that they think it gives an impression of business-like efficiency.
We're up against in the battle of our...
There, you see, there's Keir Starmer on a train, looking purposeful, drinking his coffee, just like you and me. And you saw prior to that, you know, a picture of a train going through some countryside. Well, that just shows a modern go-ahead Britain. That's the image that Starmer obviously wants to think, to put in your mind first. Okay.
Of our values. The organisers, including convicted thugs and racists.
Right, including convicted thugs and racists. Have you noticed he's not actually naming anybody? I want to play this I have used this video before. It's Trevor Phillips talking about the Unite the Kingdom March last year.
The most alarming aspect of the event was just how normal the vast majority of the marchers were. I spent an hour or two amongst them, and my own impression was that they were mostly the sort of people you'd meet in a country pub or in half-time queue for the loo at football or at a concert.
You know, this is the Guardian writer, columnist, the television, the person who's invited onto TV, that is mainstream media, to expound on his opinions. And, God, you can see the snobism of it all. Oh, well, I was there and those working class chappies, well, they were almost normal. It was astonishing, wasn't it? I mean, that's basically his attitude. But all right, he's from the mass media and he suddenly realised that the people who were on that march were not racists and thugs. A bit later on, he says he didn't feel at all frightened and he saw some brown faces as well. Quelle surprise. And that's the whole attitude of the mass media. I was just sickened by Phillips's attitude, but at least he had the courage to say these people are reasonably normal by his lights. Keir Starmer, of course, they're just thugs and racists.
Are peddling.
Oh, by the way, I do hope you notice the music. There's this nice sort of... well, we'll discuss the music afterwards. Just listen to this, the wordage.
Racists are peddling hatred and division.
Now, they're not... Now, the word peddling... that's interesting in itself, because when you're peddling something, you're doing it for your own financial advantage, and it's always something inferior. So he didn't say spreading division or whatever, he said peddling division, which means that Tommy Robinson is making a fortune out of this. And as a matter of fact, that claim... Just a minute, here we are. That claim about hatred and division being some sort of financial connection has also been reported on in The Guardian, on toxic transatlantic soup. This is about the old one, this is about last year's one. And the toxic transatlantic soup is to do with the fact that they think they've found some sort of smoking gun. As you will see here in an Instagram video put out by Amnesty International.
Does anyone else remember this?
Whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die.
This Saturday, we're about to see part 2. Here's why it's worse than you think.
Now, this guy here is an actor. Oh, somebody from Amnesty International. He's walking in front of a camera. Remember, he's got this teleprompter in front of him. Look at his buzz cut hairstyle. And does he have tattoos anywhere? Well, whatever. He's got the earrings. And they think this is going to appeal to... Oh, blasts in my eyes. They think this is going to appeal to all those poor people who've been fooled by Tommy Robinson.
The Unite the Kingdom March this Saturday is funded by Billy...
Notice the Saturday, yeah. I'll bet you he went to Eton, this guy.
Billionaires with dangerous anti-rights agendas. Ever heard of Robert Schulman? He's a US tech billionaire who funds...
Right, there you are. There's the money thing. Well, yes. It's true that via rebel media, I believe, Tommy Robinson has received funding, but most of his funding has come from these sorts of people. And are you telling me that all those pro-Palestine marches are not funded by Qatar? So yes, they'll talk about the money that Tommy Robinson got. You don't hold big rallies like that without money. But they're trying to whip up this sort of, resentment against rich people. I don't know. It's Amnesty International anyway. I mean, we know what they're like.
Islamophobic figures from across the globe, like Katie Hopkins and Gertrude.
And there's the word Islamophobic as well, which, by the way, has been outlawed in Sweden now because they say it's a ridiculous word that doesn't mean anything and shuts down normal conversation. Thank goodness for the Swedes at last. Okay, here, Geert Wilders, who is now a member of the Dutch Parliament, by the way, was found guilty of inciting discrimination on December the 9th, 2016, that's 10 years ago, in connection to his 2014 Fewer Moroccans rally. However, on September the 4th, 2020, that's 6 years ago, the Dutch Court of Appeal overturned the conviction for inciting discrimination. He got a lesser conviction for insulting a group. All right, no fine or penalty was imposed in either ruling. All right, so he wasn't found guilty of inciting discrimination because he was later cleared, which means that guilty is gone. It's a lie. All right, if at some point in the future Lucy Letby is found not guilty of killing babies, then if somebody were to say in 15 years' time, she's been found guilty of killing babies, they would be rightfully sued, wouldn't they? So that just shows you the sort of lies that are being peddled here. Now, I don't believe that Amnesty International did that on its own. I think they did that in collaboration with Keir Starmer, who can't stomach anyone who disagrees with his opinions. We can see that because most of his MPs disagree with him being Prime Minister, and he's still there. All right, let's carry on.
As Tommy Robinson. He dug deep this year and has donated £100,000.
Right, he's flashing money. We're supposed to feel guilty about that. £100,000 is nothing. That rally would have cost thousands more than £100,000. And if you're a billionaire, £100,000 is small change. I don't think anyone was digging deep. And he said bucks. And he says pounds, and it's translated here as bucks, which is even less. But I don't know.
To make this rally happen. Number 2. Apparently, to be invited to speak at the march, you need to be really good at spreading racist, divisive and violent views. Last year, this bloke Riot Tobacco from New Zealand called for a ban on non-Christian places of worship.
So this guy here did say ban mosques. That's his opinion. He's not in control of the government, and he has his opinion. I would not agree with that, but he certainly, part of his reason for banning mosques was the size of the mosques, as I understand it.
Worship. Or this Eva Valar Dingerbrook calling for remigration.
And I don't see anything wrong with talking about remigration.
By the way, is a fancy way of saying mass deportation.
And I don't see any reason not to discuss that either.
Now, Eva and 6 of their speakers have been banned from coming.
Yeah, right. So we can't hear them talking at our rally. And he's not flagging up that as a denial of free speech. Oh, no. This is fine with him. Oh, yeah, he does have tattoos there. Yeah.
This year, they'll be joining anti-trans activist Posy Parker.
And, she's a terrible person because she says women are women and men are men. Anyone who wants my opinion on that should just look back at my video about the Sandy Peggy nurse case and Dr. Beth Upton. All right, enough of that. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah.
Controversial US commentator Glenn Beck.
Glenn Beck is a commentator. What's wrong with being controversial?
3. This hateful movement is growing and spreading. Robinson is calling...
Now, he called it a hateful movement, but he hasn't proved that it's hateful. He's just calling it a hateful movement. It's growing and spreading, not because it's hateful, but because people are getting pretty sick of finding their local hotels taken over for migrant housing. Or, as I have pointed out in a previous video, having a 24-storey tower block of new flats being entirely turned over to people who've come here illegally in boats.
In the march, unite the West as well as unite the Kingdom. Meeting with far-right agitators from across...
Now, far right. Yeah, you don't like somebody, you call them far right, and that dismisses everything they have to say.
Europe and the US, building a network of racist and anti-rights activists.
Right, anti-rights. They have stopped, the people he is supporting have stopped people from coming here to speak freely. And he's talking about anti-rights. And he should wash that greasy hair. Well, all right, OK, they've made it look greasy because they want him to look working class. Yeah, instead of the posh boy that he probably is.
They're trying to bring to the UK and Europe what's happening in the US.
No, what's happening in the US is that illegal migrants and criminals are being sent back to their countries of origin. I don't see much wrong with that. Especially when I hear of kids being killed or sexually assaulted by guys. In one case, a fellow who was on the Egyptian list for arrest for murder. And he came here and he's been given haven here. A murderer.
If you want to take away our rights, maybe
Take away our rights.
organise, but so are we. Share this.
Now, take away our rights. So let's just talk about Lucy Connolly, for instance, who was jailed for nearly 3 years for a social media post. Or indeed somebody else called Sam Mellier, who was jailed for selling stickers to put on lampposts and places like that, stickers saying it's all right to be white. And he's talking about taking away our rights. Share this video before
Elon tries to take it down.
Oh, for goodness sake, when Musk has never taken anything down. And he's made, just look how he's looking, you know. We're really edgy here. We're really on the brink. We're really going to, we're really fighting a system. What a crock of horse manure. Right, so that was Amnesty International, and absolutely no doubt at the behest of Keir Starmer. So let's carry on with him.
Plain and simple. Their goal is to convince people that Britain's problems are caused by those living alongside them.
Living alongside? Well, in many cases not. They are very much separated. But sometimes we're talking about people who are living alongside us that we don't really want living alongside. I refer you to the villages that have suddenly discovered that they are living alongside hotels full of young fighting age men who have no respect for women or girls. The younger the better.
Not the Britain that I know.
No, not the Britain that you want. Not the Britain that your ideologically captured brain pictures. But we're talking about the reality. Now he's flying the flag. Yeah, and he wants to return us to the EU and his big buddies with China. In fact, he wanted to sell the Chagos Islands. Well, he wanted to give away the Chagos Islands and a load of money to a country he knew would hand it straight to China. You can't convince me that he loves this country.
This is a country built on decency, fairness and respect.
Yeah, and he is doing his best to tear all that to shreds.
A country that is at its best when people from different backgrounds come together in common purpose.
Yeah, that would be very nice. I like the use of the word common purpose, by the way, which has some rather unpleasant overtones. For those of you outside the country, you might not know, but the police have a sort of a vague idea that they call common purpose, and it generally includes being very nice to rioters who happen to have brown skins and very nasty to peaceful demonstrators who are Indigenous Brits, and they call this common purpose.
This is our country.
Yeah, it's not Keir Starmer's country. I just don't believe that.
The majority who share those values, a majority who may not always be as loud, but must always define who we are.
If you've ever been to a pro-Palestine march, you might think that they are very much louder than anything you can find in the Unite the Kingdom march.
So,
Oh, there he is, looking purposeful and businesslike again. They've moved the camera on the train now to the other side of the seat so you can see him properly.
My government will not stand in the way of peaceful protest.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're doing here. He's showing himself, talking to police as if he really respects the law. I'd like to know if that Angela Rayner case really respects the law, because I've still got this awfully nagging feeling that the fact that they said, all right, she's paid up and she doesn't have to pay any penalty because she wasn't really guilty, and it's all right now. I think that's probably against the law as well. I can't see them giving me the same leeway. Can you? If I made that sort of a little mistake.
But we will act decisively against hatred.
That's the Southport words, isn't it?
We will use the full force of the law.
Yeah, there you are. Full force of the law. And also they use this accusing people before they'd even gone to court, saying that they were going to face the full force of the law on social media. That was after the Southport thing.
When that hatred manifests as violence. And we...
Yeah, well, the violence has been coming only from the Muslim population. Oh, okay, all right. There might have been some non-Muslim violence as well, but nowhere near the same as what we've had in this country. I mean, in Birmingham, there was a case where a man was just standing. There was a demonstration of local Muslims. There was a man just standing in the garden of a pub, in the terrace, and they leapt over the fence and beat the you-know-what out of him and gave him permanent damage. And I don't know, there was a sort of reconciliation ceremony. I didn't hear of any particular punishment to the people responsible for the beating.
We will ban those coming into the UK who seek to stir it up.
They are speakers, some of them, at least one, a member of Parliament. They stopped him from coming here. It's just like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Instead of listening to the people, they're all violent thugs and that's it. And, you know, what really gets me about Starmer is his complete inability to learn. That Southport thing was so evil, the way he approached the understandable reaction after 3 little girls were murdered. And he's doing the same thing again. He just can't learn. Speaking as somebody who has done teaching, I find it immensely frustrating when I see somebody who doesn't have the ability to learn.
As we have done already. Because this country belongs to all of us.
Nice sort of swelling music. I don't know what they think they're doing, if they think they're actually going to change your mind by listening to that music. But I think a good deal of it is that he's got such an irritating voice, it sort of cancels some of it out.
And I will not tolerate anyone who seeks to stand in the way of that.
Right. Well, you know, he always reminds me, as I said, I used to do teaching, of an incompetent headmaster who is terrified of the kids. Basically, that's it, isn't it? I won't tolerate he just found the bike sheds are being used for illicit purposes. I won't tolerate that. He is a failure as a Prime Minister. I'm not so sure he isn't a failure as a human being. I don't understand, because I've heard a few people say in real life, in social interaction, he's a nice chap. But I suppose, as some of you might recognise this about Adolf Hitler, oh, He was a wonderful dancer. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.